Hi, everyone, and welcome back to From a Woman to a Leader, a podcast dedicated to discussing women's unique challenges in the tech industry. I'm your host, Limor Gross, and for those who don't know me, I've used to be a software engineer and later on engineering leader. And for the past 5 years, I've been dedicating myself to supporting my passion, supporting women in tech and helping women get into executive roles. And today, I want to share with you personal. I want to talk about my journey from being a software engineer to stepping into leadership. And it wasn't easy for me. It wasn't a smooth road. And I learned some tough lessons along the way. But those lessons shaped who I am today. So if you are a woman and you're in tech and you feel stuck in your career and you don't know how to break through to leadership, or maybe you doubt yourself, maybe you think you're not enough to lead, this episode is dedicated for you. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share 3 key lessons that helped me grow into my leadership role and what I wished someone had told me years ago. So why don't you grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's dive right in. I want to take you back to the beginning of my career. So I started my career as a software engineer, and I really believed that what I needed to succeed is working hard, driving to results, and doing everything that was expected of me of the role. Just deliver code, do my job. And what happened was that at the beginning, it kind of, was going okay. I was really doing whatever my managers asked me to do, and they appreciated that. And I kind of developed myself as an engineer and grew into a senior engineer. But at some point, I watched other people get promoted into leadership roles while I stayed in the same place. I felt stuck, and it was very frustrating. To be honest with you, it was demoralizing. Looking back, I now understand that there are several things that held me back. First of all, I'm introverted and quiet and shy. I used to be a shy kid. And I'm still considering myself introverted and quiet. It's not a bad thing, but it was holding me back because being quiet means I wasn't visible. So I was sitting in meetings, I was sitting and not talking because that's who I am. Like, I believe that you don't need to be, shouting in order to say what you have. And that didn't serve me very well. The second thing that held me back is that, as I told you, I believe that you have to work hard and someone will notice what you're doing and will reward you for that. So I thought, okay, I don't need to talk. I don't need to brag about what I'm doing. I just need to work hard, to be quiet, humble, and eventually someone will notice me. And I will be rewarded, whether it's promotion, salary increase, what have you. The third thing I would say that I think held me back, that because I was so quiet, I also never advocated for myself or shared what were my career aspirations. To be honest with you, I don't think I even spent enough time to think what were my career aspirations. The problem is that the tech world, at least the way I experienced it, rewards people who are extroverts, who are loud, who are visible, who are bold, who are promoting themselves. So visibility, boldness, self-promotion, extrovert, charismatic people, all those traits that didn't come naturally to me. And to be honest, still don't. So what happened was, instead of stepping up, I let opportunities pass me. And, the sad thing was that I thought that maybe I wasn't cut out for leadership. Maybe leadership wasn't for someone like me, someone quiet and introverted. I thought, well, maybe I'm not the leadership type. And I want to talk about the turning point in my career, something that happened that I really feel like one of the pivotal moments in my career. and it was not expected. What happened was that I was very frustrated and unhappy in my career as a young mom. So, as I had my first daughter, I have 4 children, but after my first daughter was born, and I got back to work after maternity leave, and I was still back then a software engineer. I felt hopeless. I didn't like what I was doing. I felt I was being used. I traveled a lot. I sacrificed a lot as a mom for my career, but I didn't feel like my career was going anywhere I wanted it to go. And what happened was that I had to make a tough call. I had to decide whether I wanted to expand my family. I wanted another child, a second child, or to look for another job. Those two things were kind of a dilemma I had. It shouldn't be a dilemma, to be honest with you. Women should not have to choose between expanding their families and growing their careers. But at that point, then you have to realize my son is now 17, so it was more than 17 years ago, more like 18 years ago. I didn't feel like that was something that was an option for me. So I felt like, well, if I want to have another child, I'll be pregnant. I cannot change jobs while I'm planning to get pregnant, during getting pregnant, and, delivering. So I had to make a choice. Do I want to be focused on job searching, interviewing, and starting a new job? Or do I want to focus on expanding my family? And, eventually I decided that I want to expand my family, and that's more important to me than my career. And that's what I did. I got pregnant with my second child. And when I was 8 months pregnant with my second child, there was an opportunity for a manager role. It was an opportunity, and I really wanted it. I felt, wow, that's exactly the opportunity I've been waiting for, an engineering management position. The problem was that I did not believe that I will get that. I thought there was no way I can even apply to that position. Like, why would someone choose me? I'm 8 months pregnant. I'm about to deliver a child. I'm about to go to maternity leave. Who is going to take me seriously for that position? On top of that, I had no management experience, and the hiring manager didn't really know me. Lucky for me, my husband really encouraged me to try, and he said something that really stuck with me. He said, "What's the worst that can happen?" I mean, it's a very simple question, right? I mean, apply. What's the worst that can happen? Well, the worst thing that can happen, you'll not get that job. But if you don't try, obviously you will not get a job. And basically, I mean, that simple question made me realize that really I had nothing to lose by applying to that position. And eventually I got it. I mean, it's a longer story than that, but what happened was that I applied, and also I had a strong advocate for me, a former manager who spoke on my behalf. And when I was on maternity leave, I got a phone call that I got a job. And as I got back to work after my maternity leave, I started my career as an engineering manager. So I wanted to share with you several lessons that I got from that experience and throughout my career, not just from that experience. And this is something I also work a lot with the women that I coach today. And the first lesson is that advocating for yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. And why is that? It's like we have this notion that self-advocacy is something bad. It's bragging and it's selfish. But to be honest with you, no one can read your mind. No one can magically know what you want. You have to really speak up and make your aspirations known. In my case, no one knew I wanted to become a manager. Hell, I was promoted to a staff engineer. No one even knew what I wanted because I didn't share any of that. So if your manager doesn't know what you want, how they can even consider you for something if they don't know what you want? And the second thing is you need to really make sure that people know what you are working on. Not just working on, but what the impact that you are making. And this is not bragging. This is simply advocating for yourself and sharing your value to the world. And the second lesson that I want to share with you is that leadership is not about being loud. So remember, when I told you that I wasn't sure that I was the manager or the leader kind of personality type, because I thought that the leader should be someone who is charismatic, who is extroverted, who is loud, who is always speaking up. I had this vision, and by the way, it's not just me. That's how a lot of people think that a leader should be. But to be honest, leadership is not about being loud. I'm very introverted, and I thought that I needed to change, to be honest, when I started leading. When I started managing, I thought that I needed to change to something I'm not. I looked at my manager and my peers, and I thought I need to be bold, I need to be charismatic, I need to be someone who is dominating every room. But that's not true. I believe that leadership is about building trust, about really listening to people, about empowering others. And those are my strengths. And they have served me very well. So for example, I'll give you some example how it served me. I had a team, and before I actually joined, they made some technical decision. And eventually that technical decision was making huge product stability issues. So a person that would be maybe loud, extroverted, charismatic type, maybe say, hey, you're responsible for a bad decision. You need to change whatever it was. You need to consider what you did. But actually, I took a different approach. I didn't know I was doing that back then, but I actually coached the team lead through the process of kind of reflecting on the decisions that he made to try to figure out what's not working, why it's not working, and what's the right way to solve it. So I was coaching him. And eventually, what it led to him realizing the issue himself, and not just realizing the issue and the decision that he made that was causing that issue, but actually what the solution should be. So actually it was very empowering and positive conversation. So instead of getting into a conflict and him being defensive, it actually became a very empowering and positive discussion. And this is exactly what influence looks like, and not like using your authority. And this is extremely powerful. And this is something I'm really good at. And you can do that without being loud. You can actually do that by being empathetic, by being a great coach, by asking great questions, by listening deeply, by challenging. And those are strengths of great leaders. And that led me to the next lesson that I want to share with you. You don't need to fit a certain mold. And what do I mean by that? As I told you, I thought that there were a certain type of leader, charismatic, loud, someone who always everyone looks up to, someone who is walking on the greatest stages and speaks, and when they walk into the room, everyone look up to them. And I thought leaders need to act, look, behave a certain way, extroverted, outspoken. And frankly, to be honest, it's often kind of male type of behavior. But my own leadership style is actually different. It's rooted in humility, in empathy, and authenticity. This is who I am. And once I was able to embrace who I am, what my core values are, I became not just a better leader, but more confident one, and to be honest, a happy one. And this is something I talk a lot with women who I coach, because a lot of women who I coach struggle with something very similar. Their manager may come to them and tell them, you need to be assertive, you need to be whatever. But actually what they're telling them is, you need to be me, you need to manage like I manage. Don't fall into that trap, because you don't need to fit a certain mold. You need to look at your strength and how your style is, what's the right type of leadership style for you, and hone into that. And you will become a better leader, a stronger leader, and a happier one. Before I end kind of this episode, I wanted to share another thing. If I can go back maybe 20 years ago and talk to my younger self as I was relatively at the beginning of my career and starting out, this is what I'd say to my younger self. And this is what I want to share with you as well. First of all, speak up for what you want. No one else will do it for you. The second thing is use your unique strength. For me, for example, authenticity is my superpower. Use your own strength. First, you need to identify them and utilize them. Take a bold step, even if it's scary. Like, I applied for this management position when I was pregnant. Because growth happens outside of your comfort zone. And this is another thing that I constantly work with my coaching clients. I encourage them to step out of their comfort zone, even if it's one small step at a time. And I know how hard it can be to break into leadership, especially as a woman working with, a lot of men. There's a lot of bias. The path is not always clear. Sometimes it looks like it's not going to happen. It looks desperate. But I want you to remember one thing. You are enough just the way you are. You don't need to change who you are to lead. You just need to take the first step forward. As we head into 2025, I want to wish you this. I want to wish you to believe in yourself. Trust your voice and take bold steps towards the career that you want and that you deserve. Because I believe that the tech world needs more leaders like you. Empathetic, authentic, and impactful. And I have an ask for you. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. What is one step you can take today to advocate for your growth? You can send me a message, you can comment on the podcast, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Anything works. And if you like this episode, please share it with someone you feel it can help. Subscribe to the podcast and also to my newsletter, limorbergman.com/newsletter, because I share weekly tips. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Happy New Year, happy 2025. And I'll see you in the next episode on LinkedIn and on my website. Thank you so much for listening and have a wonderful day.